What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. A little bit of trouble getting this live stream going. I think it's up and running now. It just gave me like the loading bar, like it's gonna start, and then just came to a complete stop. So short Google, short them. Speaking of Google, yeah, we could definitely look at Google because it is getting some news besides live stream too slow. But man, the people that are here, quick to the punch. We got Chuck in the house. Good morning, Chuck. We got Albert, Alex, Andy, Brian. We got Kerry. We got Christopher. Eric's in the house. Eric Prawl. Good morning. Fayaz Franco. Greg K. Jason J. Good morning. Jeremy. Good morning. Joe. JT. Lauren. Martina. Paul. Shane. Sky. Tony. The list keeps growing. Win. Good morning. All my peeps of YouTube land. Richard Jet. All right, good. So YouTube is up and running. Looks like we avoided that problem. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Roblox big gap down. Okay, we'll take a look at that one. Tanya says, let's get some R's. Tanya turned into a pirate over the weekend. That's good to see that development. I like it. Good morning to Joe. Alex says, happy Monday, everybody. Oof. Rock is in the house. Nice, bright, and early. Good morning, DJ RLT family. Good morning, Rock. Liza's in the house. We got the squadron. All right, let me take this screen off. Good. And let's start with the market as we do. And then we'll add Roblox to that list as well. Anything else that you guys see going crazy, let me know. We could definitely take a look at those as well. So SPY, I mean, if you were trading futures last night, you probably have cobwebs on you. You probably maybe started painting a wall just to watch it dry. It was doing nothing. So if that's any indication of where the range is going to be today, that's not good. We are inside of a decent high wave. We are at massive resistance. We did break the resistance, did get rejected down. And the question is, what do we do from here? I don't know. We have earnings coming out today. Could be so a lot more banks coming out this week. MT Bank, they did report earlier today. They beat earnings. That was probably a little bit closer to the regional size banks, which is interesting. So we'll see what happens from that. They gapped up, gave it back a little bit, but that's pretty much it for financials. Nothing really too crazy happening with that. No follow through really. SPY again is just kind of at a big indecision. Could be a spot to maybe start to look. If you think bullish, buy calls. If you think bearish, maybe time to start looking at that play and just kind of almost play this high wave. So if you think it's calls and we start to break down, probably somewhere under 409, 88, that might be a spot just to take the loss. Vice versa, if we break out of that high wave, we probably head higher. So that's going to be an important one. That high wave is following some decent bullishness, good breakout, good close, and can we get through that resistance? That's going to be the bigger issue. Alex says Tesla, AMD, Microsoft. Albert says good morning. Lawrence says Baba. All right. Scott in YouTube land says HPQ, ENPH. All right, we'll take a look at some of those as well. Let's take a real otherwise, yeah, big resistance at this 413. I have 413.56, but somewhere in that range. And then we have if we're using VPOX, it's a little closer, 412.80. So that gives us like 16 cents in that direction until we start kind of breaking out. And again, just a little bit longer term resistance is still lingering up there, but 411.92 to the downside. And let's check out Qs. The NQ was a little bit weaker last night, so the SPY futures were decent. Take these off. Still holding a really nice range. Inside day, a little bit of bullish momentum in that high wave from Friday. But yeah, we are just kind of stuck, interestingly enough. So we have 319.02. We have a decent resistance from that 319.02 all the way up to probably 319.76. So going to be a challenge. All the moving averages are below us, could give us some momentum, but we are pretty far away from some of those. So could be a little bit of resting period. I don't know if we, unless we get some kind of news throughout the day or, earnings this week, it's going to be tough to break out of that when those moving averages are so far away. The longer we sit here, the longer we just chop sideways, then those moving averages will probably play a little bit more of a beneficial effect to give this stock, to give the market a little bit of a lift. The longer we can hang out there and let those things ride up. But for right now, we are extended. And most likely, the more we pop, the more we kind of fall back. But we will see. All right, let's take a look at some of those names. Google was the one. They had some news come out. Samsung is, I think, dropping them for their search engine on the phones. So that's going to cost, apparently, Google about $3 billion a year. And we are getting a little bit of a bearish gap and go. Interesting location. I want this thing to drop a little bit further. Actually, I want this thing to rise a little bit further. So I'm looking for about 106.31. So I do want to play this thing bearish. Not the easiest trade, but I do want to play this thing bearish, and that would be probably as close as possible to this 106.24 zone, and then play that gap and go. So if I can get a little bit higher, we are going to run into a little bit of probably some kind of support around 105.11, and then we have 104.67. So it could be a tough breakdown, but that's how I'd be looking to play it, just short as high as humanly possible. Let's take a look at Roblox, RBLX. Yeah, what does this come off of? They reported their key metrics. Roblox reports March 2023 key metrics. Roblox March 2023 daily active users were 66.2 million, up year over year. So that's decent. Maybe not as much as expected. Roblox March 2023 estimated revenue was between 212 million and 223 million, up 15%. I mean, they're growing 15 to 21% year over year. It's not horrible. For tech, maybe a little bit on the low side. It's not bad. Roblox March 2023 estimated bookings were between 247 million and 255 million, up 23%. Roblox March 2023 estimated average bookings per day. Active users were between $3.73, which represents year-over-year change of minus 2%. Okay. So average bookings per day, per daily active user were between, so maybe that was it. That seems like a mighty fine gap for that being the news. Everything else kind of looked a little bit positive. No, go back. I don't want to go to the next one. No, there it is. All right, we're back. Let's take a look real quick at the charts. That is a big gap, though. That didn't seem that horrible of a report, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, if they're going off of, I mean, they're really nitpicking this one. Everything else seemed to increase. We do have a little bit of support coming in. This is probably going to be a fade. This is going to be somewhere around this $40 range. Nice whole number, $40. I think that's going to be where we find some support. We do have moving averages starting to come in. I'm going to move this one higher to the list. I'm going to look for a fade, go bullish. The news, the gap down on news, I think is a little overextensive compared to what actually happened. The only thing that would probably cause something like that off of good news, honestly, is if people are like, because number one, it's a tech company, you are expecting higher growth numbers. 21% for tech company it's okay. It's not horrible, but for tech, yeah, it might be a little bit to the low side. Otherwise, we do have a little bit of support, and first target on this thing would be, I think we have one in here. I can't even see it though. If we do, yeah, we do. So that's 41.82. So we can get almost $1.50 from here. And again, if it could drop another 37 cents, we get a solid play off that one. But, and then this is going to be your spot. If this thing drops, I mean, even if this thing does come lower than where we're at, we still have some kind of support, probably holding us at about 38.97. So decent downside if this doesn't hold, and then we could probably play some kind of reverse. But I'm thinking we actually kind of flip this thing and that might be too big of a move off that. We will see. How would you rate the LI gap? It's a retest gap. Technically, you're above a couple decent. So it's not a bad gap. I'd probably give it like out of 10, 10 being the best gap I've ever seen in my life. This one's probably like a 6.5. Only because it's going to take time to develop, right? I don't think I want to be the first one to jump in this thing bullish, knowing that some kind of resistance could come in and play at 2620. This is also a retest gap, so you'd have to, it'd be probably a higher number as a fade. So I'd rate this thing better to fade it down lower. So if this thing gets to this 2620, I'm not going to throw a blind order out there because we do have one more at 2689. But that would be the spot I would be looking to fade this thing. I think you have a better risk to reward down into maybe even like this 2538 or 2510 zone. And then once we get lower, once we start retesting, I think the gap then becomes stronger. So it's a good gap, but it's one that you probably have to be a little patient with and just kind of wait it out. I don't think it's something that like I have to get into right in the beginning. All right, let me take a look at HPQ. Hector's in the house. Staying dry, Hector. All right, we got HPQ. Again, this is a probably usually a decently slow moving company, so you don't expect a big range on it. If you're playing this one, your setups have to be a little bit tighter. It's not bad. We're still inside on Friday though, so we still have that inside candle technically. The bears came here and shot this thing down the first time. I would imagine they'd probably be looking to do the same, but that was our first retest into that. We didn't quite retest. We have one more at $30.74. So if this thing does make a big run, that's the spot where I think we get held up. So $30.75, somewhere in that range would be decent, but that's a good reversal high wave candle. Probably would instill a little bit of fear into the bulls. Right now, we are getting that little bit of a gap, but I could take this one either way. If I want to get into this one long, I'd have to wait for some kind of pullback. Probably to about $30.23 would be the spot I'd be looking for. Again, that wouldn't be a blind order. We'd have to see kind of how the candles play out in that zone. But yeah, still inside day, so you could get a little bit of a chop on that one. All right, ENPH. That one looks decent. The range on it's going to be tough. I mean, that would take us to about 216.13. I like that double bottom. Here's your volume. All of that's been broken. We've got rejected a few times. This is now a third time up in this range. Every time we hit this range, volume has essentially decreased. Almost a little bit of a 3-bar play. Not quite. It's not really a breakout candle, but you did get some volume in that. You do have a little resting. We're above some decent numbers. That's not bad. Let's add this one to the list. ENPH. I like the potential on this one, probably a little bit better than HPQ. All the way to the top. Could be interesting. I'm a little concerned about targets, but again, we could probably get to the 215.70, maybe a little bit higher, 216 range. Since it's inside day, I would like it to pull back a little bit. I don't want to be the first one to take probably some kind of a pre-market break. I would love for a little bit of a pullback, and I think it looks a little bit more attractive. So we'll see. I know I missed a couple of tickers. Let's go to BABA. BABA. Just got that gap and go. Targets on this one. We're going to hit some moving averages. That's going to cause a little bit of an issue in a bullish direction, but again, not too much, I don't think. 98.17 would be target. It is a gap and go, not an incredible amount of volume that came in. And we're still, all of those 2 days, it's a gap and go, but we're still playing in this ballpark. So this is the candle we really need to start to break. And we have not done that yet, but it is a gap and go on a daily. Probably could get a little extra momentum. We do have moving averages coming into us. Otherwise, if we could break those, our first target is about $98.12. And then probably about 98.88, somewhere in that zone. So it's decent. It's not bad. I wish we were not inside of this candle, just kind of playing in that territory. But we're going to keep BABA pretty on the list. Schwab is selling. SCHW. I'm guessing this is some pre-market selling. We'll see what the trend is on some of these financials, because so far, I mean, PNC came out, they sold off. I think JP Morgan, they kind of just held it at the highs. So some of the bigger banks still didn't really sell off from Friday. Let me see. JP Morgan. Yeah, JP Morgan still kind of just maintained that high. We had one little small dip, and JP Morgan probably looks good for continuation. I'm kind of curious if JP Morgan is going to keep getting off of some of these smaller names coming out with earnings. Was this one? Do they have the earnings yet? They might have came out with earnings today. I thought maybe Schwab was a reaction to MTB. Interesting. All right, so let's see where this thing's going to open. We got they're going to scam us on this one. Anything under 48.87, I think, is going to be a short. Right now, it's probably a fadeable move. This thing hangs out here. Let's see if we get a fade back to like $50.75. Probably take partials of $50.13. But if that breaks, we probably see a little bit more downside on the Schwabsters. Still in this big high wave over here. That's crazy. They needed this gap to be good. They needed to get above 52.38. That did not happen. Interesting. All right. Yep, we did take a look at Roblox. We looked at Google as well. Roblox, I think we could get a fade on. Google, I'm just trying to short as high as I possibly can. If possible, maybe we just had some kind of pre-market run up into the zone. I mean, I don't know if that candle's real, but that would be the retest. And if that's the retest, yeah, we could probably look for a breakdown. I don't have reason to believe that's a fake wick. It is a decent sized candle, extra wick. I mean, it seems fake. If I was to look at that, that doesn't seem real, but it's there. And if that was the retest, that got me right into the short spot. And yeah, we could probably look for more continuation on Google. Let me move Google a little bit higher on the list. All right. Let me see. I know I missed. If I missed your stock, just retype it, because Tesla, AMD, and Microsoft, MSFT. So Microsoft is going to benefit from that news, from Samsung dumping Google. Decent gap up. One little spot of resistance that we're at now. If we can get a little bit higher, that would be an interesting bullish play. I almost want to act as a retest on this one. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but we are at a little bit of resistance. And again, yeah, it's a gap and go from this high wave, but this high wave is just inside this bullish candle. So I think this candle plays. I think this one's going to be acting as kind of maybe some people want to take profits at resistance. And this thing comes back down for a fade. Look for maybe entry around 288.88. Probably get you a little bit better risk reward on the trade. And then the next spot I'd be looking for is somewhere back 287.62 is my secondary entry. So somewhere here, but it is a decent gap. My question is Google over? I don't know. I don't think so. I think all of the noise will go away eventually. AMD. Yeah, I still like this thing short. I did play this one a second time. So for anybody that was in the room last time on Friday, we had a really, really good entry on this thing. We got triggered in, we got our stops down to break even, and then we just had one rippage of a candle that got pretty high. Where were we? And I was like, I told you guys, I was like, I'm playing this thing again. I don't care. So we got our stops to break even, got stopped out here. Then right under here, I think there was a 10 EMA. Somewhere, I think this candle right here was a 10 EMA. I was able to get back in there. Stops were above there and just kind of rode that thing pretty much down to the original targets. So I do think AMD on the daily chart is in some trouble and probably could get a bigger pullback still. Probably still one of my favorites to short today. With some kind of continuation, very, very good location in terms of, but now the question is risk reward. So I don't know how much this moving average is going to play in. I'm not even sure. I don't have this labeled whatsoever. I'll have to take a look, but I think targets will be probably to about 87.79. So you know what? We do have a decent move. I would still like to see I would like to see a little bit of a pop first on this one. Otherwise, that's a pretty nasty gap if it just opens and breaks pre-market support. That's one I'd probably be looking to take that breakdown. But yeah, I still like AMD to the short side. And we got Tesla. Just kind of hanging out. Yep. Slight gap up from the close. Targets, I'd probably have to lean bullish, but it's not going to be the most crazy bullish. 187.71 will be my targets on that one. Just get me into that. And then if that one breaks, so if you're only going to take partials and let the rest ride, get your stops up to break even, something like that. Next stop would probably be 190.14. And unless the entire market is ripping and going bullish, I think this is going to be a tough candle to break out of for today. So a little bit of a tighter range on the Tesla. Let me move this slightly higher on the list. And since we looked at AMD, let's also take a look at NVIDIA. Squeeze between two moving averages, just kind of hanging out. Probably going to be a tighter play. So I don't see too much action on that. I kind of like AMD a little bit better. Let's see, double inside day. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. We got moving averages. We got VPOCs on both sides of us. The range to the downside, 262.50. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, yeah, no. I saw that real quick. I was like, wait, that's below it. Yeah, we're just kind of hanging out. So it might be another Shopzilla type day. They did get a little bit of boost from Elon buying up some chips in his, what is it, a new AI company Elon's pitching? So I literally never use the OEM anything on my phones. The question is, if all the Samsung phones come without Google installed, wouldn't you just like, you could just go to the App Store and just download Google and then you have it. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to Bing it to find out what's more popular. But yeah, it's all around the AI type stuff. That's it. FSLR. I mean, I don't know on this one. This one has been the most bullish stock anybody's ever dreamed of. Like, even GameStop people are like, man, I wish I had some First Solar. We could start to watch for this little bit of maybe head and shoulders on a longer term basis setting up. But I feel like we've been trying to watch this breakdown for a while and it just has not happened. I mean, that's still it's a really, really nice gap from 179, or actually from 169 up to 179, cleared all pivots, kept on pushing with that momentum, a little bit of profit taking. And if this is the third shoulder, if this is the right shoulder, maybe we can finally get that pullback, but I don't know. Let's take a look real quick at Netflix. Netflix having some issues last night. They were supposed to stream the second live stream in the history of Netflix. Chris Rock stand-up being one of them, and I think there was only one. No, I think Chris Rock went off pretty smooth. I think there was one spot where Chris Rock messed up and edited it in the post. But as far as the Netflix streaming, it went well. Then they're trying to give a reunion show for Love is Blind, which is a reality show. I don't know why they wanted to do that one live, but they did have a lot of issues, and it was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. By the time they started getting it ready, it was like 9:15. So it was a whole mess. And then there was I think only some people got to watch it live and others did not. So pretty poor performance on the Netflix live streaming. They have to probably work on that. We are down a little bit on this one, and we do have room to the downside. I will keep this one a little bit higher on the list just in case. I think it was trending #1 on Twitter, which then to me, I was like, yeah, it's, I mean, a technical issue, only the second time trying to go live. But to trend #1 on Twitter means that there's a lot of interest either in that show or Netflix in general. So I don't know. It kind of made me a little bit stronger. We also have earnings coming out, so be very careful if you're taking a swing. This comes out. Is that tomorrow? I don't even know what today is. Yeah, it's tomorrow. Wow. All right. So earnings are tomorrow. They will be probably heavily watched, and I'm sure that they'll probably have to mention something about the live stream incident. But I don't know. Earnings could go either way. They did start cracking down in the US about password sharing, which that would assume people would be like, okay, cool. Yeah, let me stop sharing. I'll have to buy my own account, and then revenue goes up. I think what we've seen in the past, and because they started rolling that out in other countries first, and you actually had some people just get upset with Netflix. They cancel until a show comes out that they like, and then they start signing up again. So there was a kind of like a downward trend, and then it started pushing up higher again. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. It's going to be interesting. Jason King says pretty much still an Android phone. Still linked to your Google. Yeah, and you still could link everything up, but maybe it makes it a little bit more difficult. See, I don't think it affects the advertising portion of things on the Google news. I think Samsung was legitimately paying Google $3 billion a year. So I think they were paying Google to have Google as their main provider or something like that. And therefore, that's going to be an immediate $3 billion loss. But in terms of advertising, maybe a little less searches on Google, potentially, as it's just a little bit more difficult to set up. Otherwise, I don't think the searching end of it gets affected too much. What do we got? 35 seconds. All right, everybody on my YouTube live stream, everybody in YouTube land, appreciate having you guys here each and every day. Again, I do expect a little bit of a tighter chop in the market. We'll see what happens, but we are about to get into earnings season. Things are going to get crazy. Be careful out there today. Try to really zone in on the 10 out of 10 trades. It's not, I don't think, the day to overtrade whatsoever. I don't think any day is a good day to overtrade, but especially probably today. But you guys are